Okay, so time for flow. Oh, let me get this. Move your devices out of the way. Put this on airplane mode. I don't know how that happened. All right. And let's come down onto our backs. Rest the head on the mat. Do what you want with the legs, either bent or extended. Arms down by the sides, close the eyes. And you can either keep the arms where they are, or you can bring the hands on the body. You can go back and forth and see which one feels better at this point in your practice to start. So take a deep breath in through the nose, back out through the mouth. 2 more cleansing breaths, letting everything go. Inhale in through the nose. Exhale out of the mouth. Last one like that. Inhale in through the nose. Slow and controlled out of the mouth. This time in through the nose. Back out through the nose. Keep going with this Ujjayi breath. In through the nose, back out through the nose. Dropping right into your practice. That mental state of mind. With just the right balance of focus and concentration, putting everything else aside. Focusing on just you. Using this practice to not only build strength, link the body with the movement, breath with the movement, but also to just check in with yourself. And see how you're doing. This physical part of yoga is such a nice way to develop a deep relationship with yourself, which is so important for our mental health and overall well-being. Okay, reach the arms overhead. You could interlace the fingers, turn the palms to face away from you, getting a stretch in the upper body. Whatever you want to do with the legs, if the feet are still on the mat, you can keep them there. If you want to stretch the legs out, you can. And then switch the interlacing of the fingers. So go one finger over and then turn the palms away from you. Stretch the arms back overhead, hugging those outer elbows in a little bit so you get the arms straight. And let's hug the right knee in toward the chest, giving it a squeeze. You can extend the left leg out in front of you, resting the heel on the mat. If that's okay for the lower back, if it feels uncomfortable, then just bring the sole of the foot to the mat. You can do it that way. Right leg extends up. You can grab onto the back of the right thigh. As much of a bend as you need in that right knee. So if you're really tight or dealing with an injury, put a deep bend in the knee until you feel a nice, healthy stretch in the backside of the right leg. Some of you are comfortable coming right into a straight leg. I'll leave that to you to decide. Toes come down toward the face and that heel extends up. The closer you bring the leg into the body, the more intense this is. So you can play with that too, trying to keep it gentle though. And hug the right knee in toward the chest, set the right foot down onto the mat, bring the left knee in toward the chest. Maybe the right leg extends out in front of you. Left leg extends up, grab onto the back of the left thigh, play with that bend in the left knee. And this leg might be different, that's okay. Listen to what it needs, even if it looks different than the first side. And hug the left knee in toward the chest. Bring the right knee in toward the chest. So both knees in toward the chest, and then extend both legs up. So feet over the hips, reach the arms up, fingertips point up, hug the belly in, and then just lift the upper body, reaching up toward the feet, and then set the upper body back down. Take an inhale. Exhale, lift up, trying to touch the feet, and inhale, come back down. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, come back down. Exhale, lift up, try to touch the toes, and inhale, come back down. Little different this time. Exhale, come up. Move the feet away from you like a third of the way, and then keep reaching up. Maybe you hug the belly in and you're just staying here, but your breath is still going. So in and out through the nose, up and down the back of the throat. So you're reaching toward the feet. Legs are away from you about a third of the way, and you're squeezing the inner thighs together as you hug the belly in. Then reach the arms forward, so palms face up, hands in line with the shoulders, and then come up to Navasana, boat pose. You can keep the legs straight, or you can put a bend in the knees, but see if you can balance on that flat spot just above the glutes, lifting the chest up, looking up, hugging that core in. And if the legs are bent, that's great. That's good for most of us. If the legs are straight, that's fine. That's a different challenge. And sometimes too much for our hip flexors. So just listen to that part of the body. Make sure you're being friendly. And then set the feet down onto the mat. Come to an easy cross-legged seat. Doesn't matter which shins in front. Hands to the knees, sitting up tall. On the inhale, come forward over the right knee, then the left knee. And on the exhale, hang on to both knees, round the spine. Keep going with the circles in this direction. Right knee, left knee on the inhale, exhaling back. You go at your own pace. You follow your own breath. Next time the chest ends up over the left knee, pause there and reverse the direction of the circles. Come back over to the right knee, round the spine on the exhale, and you'll take the circles going the opposite way. They can be smaller at first and then grow to a bigger size, especially as you're switching sides. It takes the body a minute to go the other way. And you'll start to make your way back up to seated, maybe doing smaller circles to get there until you end all the way back up in your easy cross-legged seat. Bring the hands back behind you, lean back, switch the crossing of the legs, and then take the hands, interlace the fingers all the way, and then you'll just move the hands around, getting into the wrists here. So taking circles now with the hands, and you'll notice you're already going in one direction. Keep going in that direction. It's probably the more familiar way you're used to. And now switch. See if you can go the other way. You might not be able to go as fast. It might feel really weird. Some of you are going so fast on the first side like me, and now kind of struggling like, is this the right way? I really want to go the other way. And then just shake out the hands and the wrists. Let them be loose. Good. And then you'll come forward to hands and knees. Bring the knees and the feet all the way together. You're coming back to kneeling. So if you're okay with sitting back on the heels, go for it. If you're not, you could take Virasana, separate the feet, put a block between the hips, do it this way, or you could just come back to seated on the mat. So if you're okay with some kind of kneeling, try that. And then from here, as you're sitting on the tops of the feet, getting a nice stretch on the quads, keeping the chest lifted, reach the right arm forward all the way up, bend at the elbow, and then grab that right elbow with the left hand, keeping the chest lifted without puffing out the lowest front ribs. Hug those in so the spine stays long. Look forward. Try not to let the head and the chest collapse. You want to keep that lifted. And then you can just work that right shoulder, giving it a bit of a stretch. Breathing into it. And reach both arms back up, left arm bends, grab for that left elbow, keep the chest lifted, see what's happening on this side of the body, maybe even feeling some length on that left tricep at the same time. And bring the arms down by the sides. Come forward to hands and knees and come to lying down onto your stomach. So you can walk the feet back, set yourself down onto the mat, and walk the hands forward, the arms forward, so palms face down. Tops of the feet are hip width distance apart, pressing down onto the mat. Lift the hands up in line with the shoulders, so not too high. And then take an inhale. On the exhale, cactus the arms, lift and spread the chest. So warming up the backside of the body. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. One more like that. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. And then set the head down. You can turn the head to one side or bring the hands one on top of the other and just rest the forehead straight down. Feeling the sensations in the backside of the body now that we brought a little bit of heat there. We'll keep going with that. Stretch the arms out in front of you like you're flying. Tops of the feet press down, tailbone points back. Lift the hands up to shoulder height. Take an inhale. Exhale, cactus the arms, lift and spread the chest. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Last one, inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms, and rest. If you turn the head to one side on the first side, go the other way if the neck's okay with it. Or stack the hands the opposite direction, so the other hand on top. One more of those, I'll give you another alternative. Walk the hands forward, press into the tops of the feet, lift up on the inhale. Maybe the feet lift up too, keep them low, but just stretching back. And then exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, cactus the arms, and set it all down. Feet down, head down, rest. Walk the hands in by the lower ribs, come up to hands and knees. Take a child's pose. So hips go back toward the heels, forehead comes down, arms out in front of you. Feeling the length in the back and the length in the arms, keeping the shoulders in place. Look forward at the hands, downward facing dog. Take your time, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. So several breaths here. If you want to find some movement, pedaling out the feet or bringing both heels up high and then slowly bringing them back down. Or maybe coming into stillness. It's up to you. Just find the breath. Make sure the head and the neck release. You might want to nod the head yes and no a couple of times to get that to happen. Deep bend in the knees. If there's anything going on in the legs, they're tight. You have an injury. And start to look forward at the hands. Let's step the right foot up between the hands, coming into a low lunge. So bottom knee comes down. Dig into that right heel. Reach the arms forward all the way up. Chest lifts. And then we'll take the right hand. You can either bring it to the right hip or the sacrum might be nice too. And then look up, lift up on the chest, the whole left side of the body. Maybe you lean back a little bit. So that right hand on the sacrum is kind of nice because it helps you keep that tailbone and pubic bone coming toward one another if you are going for a light back bend. Gaze comes forward, left hand comes down underneath the shoulder, so right on the mat. Right hand, right hip, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then open up across the chest into a twist. So right arm reaches up, belly hugs in. Left shoulder away from the ear. So you spin that left bicep forward and tricep back. Turn the toes to the right. So you're coming onto that back edge of the foot, and then heel toe this right foot back halfway, press into the sole of the right foot to lift the hips up. You could turn that right palm to face forward and reach it up and over the ear. So it's a modified side plank. You dig down into that right foot to lift the hips up, and then you start to feel the left side of the body, how it needs to turn on for your side plank. If you're ready for side plank, you can go ahead and stack that right foot on top of the left. If you're not, keep the foot there. We're all bringing the right hand down to the mat, stepping back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set the back knee down. Reach both arms up, low lunge. Left hand, left hip. Or if you liked, hand on the sacrum, keeping the tailbone and the pubic bone going toward one another. Maybe the gaze starts to lift up, reach up with that right arm. Maybe you gently press back a little bit, still warming up. So you feel a nice stretch, potentially in the quad, all the way up the right side of the torso. Gaze comes forward, right hand comes down to the mat underneath the shoulder. Left hand, left hip, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, left arm opens up into that twist. Get that right shoulder in place, right bicep forward, left, right tricep back. Then looking down at the mat, keeping the shape of the upper body, turn the toes on both feet over to the left. Heel toe the left foot back about halfway. Toes are still pointing to the side. Press into that left foot to lift the hips up as high as you can. Turn the left palm to face forward. Maybe the left arm reaches up and over the ear, and you'll feel the right side obliques, right outer right leg, all the muscles on the right rib cage working. Stay here. Maybe that left leg goes back to stack on the right leg for side plank. Hand down to the mat. We're all in downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Two more like that. Inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Last one. Inhale up. It's a little bit of a back bend. Exhale, fold. We're coming all the way up. Circle the arms up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, bend the knees, bring the hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose. Stay in plank pose. Once you find your plank pose, come down to forearm plank. So one forearm at a time, forearm plank. Legs are strong, they're pushing back. Right hand reaches forward. So just tap the right arm forward. Left leg goes out to the side. Left foot comes back in, right forearm down. Left arm reaches forward, right leg out to the side. Bring it all back to forearm plank. Now you can go a little bit faster if you want to, and you could just do the arms or just do the legs, or both if you want more of a challenge. Right arm forward, left leg out to the side, back to center. Left arm forward, right leg out to the side, back to center. One more time. Right arm forward, left leg out to the side, back to center, left arm, right leg, back to center. Set the hips down to the mat, tops of the feet to the mat, Sphinx pose. Chest is reaching forward. Settling your breath, your heart rate. Back of the neck long. Then looking down at the mat, tuck the toes, fire up the whole body, including the core, then lift the hips up back to forearm plank, one hand at a time, plank, down dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Let's do 2 Surya A's. You can do up dog if you're ready for it, or stick with cobra. Inhale, circle the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, chaturanga, up dog or cobra. Legs are strong, belly hugs in, chest open. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. All the way up to standing. Hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Lower down halfway, chaturanga, back bend of your choice on the inhale. Exhale back to downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands, set the back knee down, reach the arms up, low lunge. Right hand to the sacrum or hip, tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another. Lift up maybe with the gaze, the chest, reach up with that left arm. Maybe you come back a little bit. Then gaze starts to come forward, bring the chest back over the hips, left hand down underneath the left shoulder, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, right arm reaches up. Find that twist. Left shoulder away from the ear, turn the toes to the right, heel toe the right foot back halfway, press into the right foot to lift the hips up. Right arm reaches up and over the ear, stay here or side plank. Hand down to the mat, downward facing dog. Right foot's back if you had it on the mat. Right foot this time steps up between the hands. So step that right foot forward, spin that left heel down flat for warrior 2. Take your time. Come on up. Try to distribute the weight evenly into the legs so you're not heavier in that right leg. And then press the top of the left thigh back until you feel like the leg is as straight as you can get it. And you're still driving down through that left leg like you're trying to reach through the floor, through the earth. Same thing with the right heel. Straighten the front leg, flip that front palm up, reach up and back, reverse triangle. That right side of the torso should feel open, reach up more than back, but keep some length on the left side too. Come up to standing, arms out wide. You're coming into triangle pose. You could shorten the stance a little bit, heel toe the back foot in, front leg stays straight, reach forward with the right arm, hip shift back, right arm down, left arm up, Trikonasana. Then keeping that chest open, start to bend the right knee. Hand can stay on the ankle. You can actually grab the ankle if you want. You can bring the hand outside the foot on a block, or forearm to thigh if you want to keep it up higher. Just side angle pose. Left arm reaching straight up. Then look down at the mat. Left hand comes to the mat. You're on the ball of the back foot. Step straight back, downward facing dog. Feet hip width distance apart. We're going straight over to the other side. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set the back knee down. Reach both arms forward and all the way up. Left hand comes to the sacrum. Reach up with the right arm. Maybe find a little bit of a back bend. As you start to become more open, tailbone and pubic bone going toward one another. Then bring the gaze forward. Right hand comes down to the mat underneath the shoulder. Left arm reaches up, lift the back knee. You're in that twist. Right shoulder away from the ear. Turn the toes to the left. Heel toe the left foot back halfway, pressing down to that left foot to lift the hips up. Stay here, or side plank, stacking the feet. Left arm can reach up and over the ear. Hand comes down to the mat, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands right away. Warrior two. Spin that right heel down flat, windmill the arms up. You have some time to build the pose. So rooting down through the legs, lifting up through the chest, the spine stays nice and long. And there's a slight lifting of the lower belly and a lowering of the tail. So you keep the pelvis just where it needs to be to give you the most space in the shape. Hands in line with the shoulders as best we can. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. So you're lifting up with that left side rib cage, trying to make as much space as you can on the whole right side of the body at the same time. Come back up to standing. Maybe you shorten the stance if you have a longer stance in your warrior two. Stretch that left arm forward, hips go back, left arm down, right arm up. Trikonasana triangle pose. Keep the chest opening to the side or even up. Send that left knee straight forward. You can hang onto the ankle, hand outside the foot, or keep it lifted forearm to thigh. It's a matter of how open that left hip is. Back leg is still straight, belly hugs in, opening the chest up toward the sky. Right arm reaches straight up. Then right hand comes down to the mat, step straight back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward to the top of the mat, step, walk, bring the feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Find chair pose. So bend the knees, reach the arms up. Come all the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, hold plank pose. Once you get to plank, forearm plank. Take your time with it. Come down onto the forearms. You can stay in forearm plank and just stay there, or you can do the taps with the opposite arm, opposite leg. So left leg goes out to the side, right arm forward.
back to center, right leg goes out to the side, left arm forward 2 more times if you're doing it. Keeping it slow and controlled. You don't need to go too fast. Then set the hips down to the mat, tops of the feet to the mat, Sphinx pose. Reach the chest forward. Back of the neck stays long. Bring the gaze down, fire up the legs, tuck the toes underneath you, fire up the core, back to forearm plank, one hand at a time, plank pose, downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands, set the back knee down to the mat, reach the arms forward and up, low lunge. Right hand to the sacrum, lift up with the chest, the gaze. Maybe you start to go back. Make sure tailbone and pubic bone are going toward one another. Then bring the chest back up, gaze forward. Left hand comes down to the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, right arm reaches up, side lunge or twisted lunge. And then turn the toes over to the right, heel toe that right foot back halfway, press into the right foot, reach the right arm up and over, stay here or side plank. Right hand comes down to the mat, back to three-legged downward facing dog. Now lift the right leg up and back, three-legged down dog. Right knee, left tricep. So bring it forward on the inhale, get it as far over as you can, and then come back, three-legged down dog. Right foot steps up between the hands, warrior two. Take your time, spin that left heel down flat, left arm goes up and back. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reverse triangle. Back up to standing triangle, maybe shorten the stance. This time a little different. Look down at the right toes, bend the right knee as much as you can, reach forward ahead of the right pinky toes, and then shift forward, Ardha Chandrasana half moon. So weight goes into that right foot, left leg lifts up, chest opens, belly hugs in, spread out through all 4 limbs and reach forward with the crown of the head. And then see if you can land back in side angle pose. Bend that standing leg, reach back with the left foot, maybe hand to ankle, left arm reaches up. Hands come down to the mat, step straight back, downward facing dog. Left foot steps up between the hands, set the back knee down, reach the arms up, low lunge. Left hand to the sacrum, right arm reaches up, maybe back. Gaze comes forward, right hand down to the mat, back toes tuck, lift the back knee, left arm reaches up, find the twist first, stay here. Then turn the toes to the left, heel toe the left foot back halfway, press into the foot, lift the hips, left arm up and over the ear, maybe full version of Vashisthasana, side plank. Left hand comes down to the mat, downward facing dog. Left leg reaches up and back. Left knee, right tricep. Back to three-legged down dog. Left foot steps up between the hands. Warrior two. Flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, up and back, reverse triangle. Back up to standing. Shorten the stance, heel toe the back foot in a little bit. Lengthen that left arm forward, left side waist. Keep the length as you bring the left arm down, right arm up, Trikonasana. Right arm reaching straight up, chest opening up to the sky. Bring the gaze down toward that left foot. Bend the left knee as much as you can. Reach forward ahead of the left pinky toe. Maybe even use a block under the hand. Shifting forward, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Keeping that space in the sacrum is the most important part of keeping that space in the whole spine. So it's that outer right heel that lifts up. And then you're coming back to side angle pose. Bend the standing leg, reach back with the right foot, maybe left hand, left ankle, right arm reaches up, or some version of side angle pose, your version. Right hand comes down to the mat, step straight back, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Try to stay in downward facing dog. You can always take child's pose if you want, but we are skipping the vinyasas because we're mixing other stuff in and we want to just be kind to the upper body. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Chair pose. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, Utkatasana. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat. Step back to plank pose, hold plank, one forearm at a time, forearm plank. Stay here in your forearm plank or tap opposite leg, opposite arm. And do that 3 times. Round 2. Trying to keep the stability of the core, chest reaching forward, long legs, long arms. Once you come back after that 3rd round, set the hips down, tops of the feet down, chest reaches forward, Sphinx. Look down the bridge of the nose. Keep the legs firm, so press into the tops of the feet. Once you get the breath settled and the heart rate back down, look down toward the mat, tuck the toes, fire up the legs, the core, then lift the hips, one hand at a time, plank pose, down dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Set that back knee down. Reach the arms forward and up. Right hand sacrum. Lift up and back with the left side. Then bring the chest and the gaze back up. Left hand comes down to the mat. Right arm reaches up. Lift the back knee. You're in the twist. Left shoulder away from the ear. Turn the toes over to the right. Heel toe the right foot back halfway. We're adding something in this time. Press into the foot, lift the hips up, maybe side plank. Right arm can reach over the ear. Right foot can stack over the left. Maybe you tap the right big toe back behind you. Lift up with the glutes. So the glutes push the hips up. Chest opens for a wild thing. Then right arm reaches up, come back to side plank. We're all meeting in downward facing dog. Right leg reaches up and back. Right knee, left tricep. Maybe you roll onto the inner edge of the back foot. Extend that right leg forward. Lift the left arm up, fallen triangle. Hips lift up. Left hand comes back down to the mat. Right leg up and back, 3-legged down dog. This time, step the foot all the way through, up between the hands. Spin that left heel down flat. Virabhadrasana 2, warrior 2. Flip the front palm, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Back up to standing, maybe adjust your stance. It's always better to make that transition from triangle forward to half moon. So triangle pose, hip shift back, right arm forward, then bring it down, left arm up. Look down at the right foot, bend the right knee, reach forward with that right hand, Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Belly hugs in, open it up, reach up, get light in that bottom hand. Then stepping back to side angle pose, bend the standing knee, reach back with that left foot, maybe hand to ankle. And hands come down to the mat, step back to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in through the nose. On the exhale, lion's breath, stick the tongue out, bulge the eyes. Then step that left foot through, up between the hands, set the back knee down, reach the arms up. Left hand to the sacrum, reach that right arm up and back. And right hand starts to come forward all the way down to the mat. Left arm reaches up, lift that back knee, stay in the twist. Then turn the toes to the left, heel toe the left foot back halfway, lift the hips up, stay here, or reach the left arm up and over the ear. Or if you don't want to if you want to move the foot, go to side plank. Maybe wild thing. So keep that energy in the right side of the body. Just barely step those left toes back behind you. Use the glutes to push the hips up. Chest opens. Side plank again. Hands to the mat. Left leg goes up and back, three-legged down dog. Left knee, right tricep. Roll onto the inner edge of the back foot. Extend the left leg forward. Right arm reaches up, fallen triangle. Lifting the hips up as high as you can. Right hand comes down, left leg up and back. Step the left foot all the way through, up between the hands. Spin that right heel down flat. Warrior two. By the time you get to a standing pose, it's a relief, isn't it? Just getting off of the upper body, which is why we're skipping the traditional vinyasa today. So you can focus on those shapes that are lower to the mat with the hands down. All right, flip the front palm up, straighten the front leg, reach up and back, reverse triangle. Come up to standing triangle. We're also firing up the core in different areas. So all those side planks and variations of it, get your core going. And that helps, especially with a pose like Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Look down at the left foot, bend the left knee, reach forward with that left hand, glide forward, lifting that right leg up. Last half moon. Maybe the gaze goes to the right. Maybe it goes up. Then bend the standing leg, reach back with that right foot, left hand, left ankle, maybe side angle pose. Hands down to the mat, step back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, hop, feet up to the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, chair pose. Bend the knees, reaching the arms up. All the way up to standing, hands come together, down in front of the heart. So we did a lot of upper body opening today. See if you can feel the difference in this chair pose. It's our last one. Bend the knees, reach the arms up and back. Maybe the chest lifts up a little bit higher. Maybe the gaze can go up a little bit higher. Just keep the space in the back of the neck. Bottom tips of the shoulder blades are helping lift the chest. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the hands to the mat, step back to plank pose. Vinyasa if you want it on the way back to downward facing dog. It'll be your last one. I think one of only 3 maybe. Once you get to downward facing dog, bring the knees down to the mat. If you're on a hardwood surface like me or just a harder surface, you'll want to double up the mat. So fold the mat in and then bring the knees onto the mat. If you're on a soft surface, don't worry about it. You're probably fine. And then come up to standing on the knees. So we've also been building up to camel pose, Ustrasana. Toes can be tucked. If you have blocks and you're playing with bringing the hands back to the feet or to the heels, you could use blocks on the tallest height. It'll be taller than your foot and it goes outside of the ankles. So you can kind of see my foot. You don't want them too far back. Otherwise you won't be able to reach them even if they were there. Okay. So both hands come to the lower back, hug those outer elbows in, start to fire up the legs first. So lift the thigh muscles, lift the core, start to lift the chest. Gaze can stay forward or you can look up, but hips stay over the knees, chest reaches up and back. Hands can stay where they are. They can come to the blocks. They can come to the heels. Just keep lifting the chest wherever you are. Hands come back to the lower back. If you took one of those options, sit back onto the heels, resting the tops of the feet on the mat. Hands to the thighs, close the eyes. Feel that drum, that beat of the drum in your chest. 2 more rounds of camel pose. That's our back bend today. So we've been playing with the half version of camel pose. Now we're coming into the full version. Hopefully that's feeling better. Come up onto the knees. So another option, if you're feeling really open, you can bring just the top of the foot to the mat. And then when you reach back, it's a little further down. So you can see if the toes are tucked, then you don't have to go as far back. So you can play with that. Blocks outside the feet are great too. So bring the hands to the lower back, fire up the thighs first. You get that stability of your foundation and then start to lift the core, lift the chest, outer elbows in, hips over the knees. You can start to lean back, looking up or forward. Maybe the hands come down to the heels, helping you lift the chest even more. Try to take that obvious option, not one that's too much of a stretch or just beyond reach. One that's already there. And hands come to the lower back, head over the hips, untuck the toes, sit back onto the heels, hands to the thighs, close the eyes, keep the chest lifted, just rest here. Feeling the back bend work through you. All right, last one, best one. Come back up onto the knees. Decide what you want to do with the feet, tops of the feet down or toes tucked, hands to the lower back. Start to lift from the quads, backs of the thighs, lift up through the core. Then the chest starts to reach back, hips over the knees. Find your gaze. Maybe hands come down. Keep lifting the chest. Quality breaths. And hands come back up to the lower back, head over the knees, and then sit back onto the heels. That was it. Rest with the hands on the thighs, close the eyes. Blink open the eyes. If you have the mat doubled up, you'll want to unroll it so it goes back to the way it normally is. Knees and feet all the way together. You're coming into child's pose the traditional way. So knees are touching, inner edges of the feet are touching. You can come forward. I like the arms back behind me, but you can have the arms out in front of you. Forehead comes down. Hips can be as high as you need them to be for the knees. And for whatever reason, if the other version of child's pose is a better option for you, take that one. But if this one works, try this one. It gives you a little bit more support for the lower back because you're completely resting the torso on the thighs. There's no room for it to fall between the thighs. And that's the difference. Then bring the hands underneath the shoulders, lift the head and the chest up, feet come over to one side and out in front of you, coming to seated. And then once you come to seated, shift over onto the right hip, bend that left leg. You're trying to bring the top of the foot to the mat. It might not be perfect. It's not a big deal. Just don't sit on this left foot. So you can lift yourself up, set the hips down. If that left hip is really high, you can feel it with a blanket, a pillow, whatever you have. And then if this isn't working at all, another option is sole the left foot inside the right leg. So it's different. This is a different hip opening, but if this works for you, you'll come forward. Everyone else, if you're in this half version of Virasana, knees are close together, if not touching. Maybe you stay upright with the chest. If there's room, you can start to walk the hands back so you're leaning back. And that gets into that left quad, left hip, top of the foot, ankle. Some of us love this, some of us don't. And really, we want to have no emotion about poses. We just experience them. So don't let me influence you too much. All right, so maybe you're good here. Some of you could come down onto the forearms and that left knee is going to stay in place. If that left knee starts to lift up away from the mat, then we probably come too far. You want to come back up onto the hands. Some of you might feel comfortable lying all the way down onto your back, keeping the shape of the legs. If that's you, go for it. I'll talk you in it and out of it, but won't be able to demonstrate. If you're all the way down on your back, start to come up onto the forearms first, looking forward. If you're on your forearms, start to come up onto the hands, staying reclined. And then you'll start to walk the hands forward, lean over to the right side, send that left leg forward, both hands back behind you, separate the feet wide, outer edges of the mat, keep the feet wide, move the knees side to side, windshield wipers. So we played with this half Virasana, half saddle shape in our yin class this week. I thought we'd bring it in today since it's still in the body if you practiced on Tuesday. All right, legs forward, coming back to seated. This time, shift over to the left hip. So you're leaning to the left, bend that right leg. I need to grab the foot to get the top of the foot down to the mat. Then knees as close together as you can get them. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're not sitting on the right foot. It's just outside of the hip. Use anything you have nearby to fill in a gap between the right hip and the mat. And then maybe you start to walk the hands back and you come to a reclined version of the pose. You can stay upright if that's working. And also if this side doesn't like this, you can bring sole of the right foot to the inner edge of the left leg and then fold forward. Maybe you come down onto the forearms. And you can kind of feel how some of the shapes we did today, like the low lunge with the back bend with the arm reaching up, that was a good prep for this pose. Definitely camel and all the other back bends that we did. If you can come all the way down onto your back, try it. Make sure it's a comfortable place for you to be and not too much of a struggle. If it is, come back up onto the forearms. Try it another day. If you're all the way down onto your back, start to make your way back up onto the forearms, looking forward, and then come up onto the hands if you're on the forearms, still staying reclined. Walk the hands forward, leaning over to the left. Bring that right leg forward. Hands go back behind you. Feet hip wider than hip width, so to the outer edges of the mat. Knees side to side. Windshield wipers. And you might notice when you do the internal rotation on that one hip, the knee will come down a lot lower, maybe even touching the mat. All right, come back to legs out in front of you. Reach the arms all the way up. Fold over the legs. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Come back up to seated. Bring this left foot in, step the left foot over the right. Maybe you bend the bottom leg, but we're keeping the sole of the left foot on the mat for this one. Left hand comes back behind you. You can wrap the right arm around the bent knee. Just make sure both hips are pressing down into the mat. Lift the chest and start to come into your seated twist, gazing over that left shoulder. You could also hook the elbow outside of that left thigh. That's deeper. So if that's a good option, you can also take that one. And start to bring the gaze back forward, unwind the chest, hands back behind you, extend the bottom leg, then the top leg. Right foot comes in, step the right foot over the left leg, come up to seated. And then you want the sole of the right foot on the mat if you can, as best you can, and then bend that bottom leg. Maybe it can stay out in front of you if that's not working. Press down into both sit bones, right hand back behind you, wrap the left arm around the bent knee, lift the chest, press down into the sit bones to lift the chest, and then start to bring the gaze over the right shoulder. If you did it on the first side, you could hook the elbow outside of the thigh. Gaze comes back forward. Slowly unwind the body. Left leg goes forward, right leg goes forward. And you can stay up for a seated meditation or come onto your back for Shavasana. So see which one's calling to you. If you come onto your back for Shavasana, you might need to scoot forward and then lie all the way down onto your back, extending the legs forward, covering up the eyes, using any props you want to use, or come into your seated meditation. As you come into stillness, it's important to set yourself up so that you're comfortable, nothing's bothering you.
If you're in your seated meditation, keep on going, tune me out. If you're on your back in Shavasana, start to find some small movements in the body. Stretch the arms overhead and walk the feet in. Roll over onto one side, maybe the right side, cradle the head on the arm. Using the left hand, press yourself up to your meditation seat. Sitting up tall with the chest lifted, shoulders in place, eyes closed, hands come together in front of you. Keep the lift of the chest as you bow the head, taking a moment to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me today. Hope you feel great and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. See you next week.